Well, Couch Critics, welcome back. It's been a while since we've recorded a video, but some very exciting news dropped today that Expressions of Interest are finally open for a potential national second division, which would start in March 2024. I'm Brad, as you can probably tell by the little name nearby in video, and I'm joined by Sogg, who's kindly joined us from the middle of his holidays. Samuel, how are you going?
Yeah, pretty relaxed. Lots of beach, sand in the toes. It's been good, but it's good to make a video. We've got exciting things to chat about.
Just on your holiday, you said you were relaxed. How relaxed are you? Are you like Melbourne Victory kind of relaxed? Like you just don't care anymore? You're just chilling out, whatever happens?
That club is not relaxed. They are tense as, and you can tell.
And with the national second division coming, they are nervous AF. Anyway, exciting news. Sorry, Melbourne Victory fans. It was just there. Unless you've been not on soccer Twitter or sleeping under a rock, yeah, exciting news today. We'll put this up when we finish recording this. A national second division. We've been talking. The clubs have been talking about. Everyone's been talking about this for years, and it seems like we're finally seeing action. It's the first step of quite a few to setting up this league, starting at the start of next year. Samuel, what was your thoughts when you heard the news?
Yeah, look, like finally, I think it's been talked about for so long, and yeah, we might do it, and yeah, we'll do some investigation, but finally the FA has said, boom, it's time to put your money where your mouth is. Expressions of interest, let's get into it. We're starting in 2024 if we get enough submissions, which I think they're pretty hopeful that they'll get a flood. Yeah, like excellent. There's finally some actual movement and yeah, some action. That's I'm pretty keen.
You're running over some of the proposed competition, some of the parameters. The first one, a new national tier that'll be sitting between the A-League men competition and the NPLs. Below it, they want a home and away league structure with finals comprised of 10 to 16 teams. Finals, who knows, might get sold to Sydney as well. Comprised of 10 to 16 teams and featuring between 24 and 36 games. So it looks like they're keen for quite a good lengthy season. Successful respondents to the application process would be required to depart their existing football competition. So New South Wales NPL starts tonight. It might be the last season we see of quite a few teams. The national second tier clubs will enter in a club participation agreement setting out terms of participation, including but not limiting to the following. And I think these are the most crucial part for these clubs to work is professional playing contracts for all players with salaries paid 52 weeks of the year. Off-field operations run by employed staff throughout 12 months of the year. Investment in an operation of a full talent development pathway within their club structure and access to a suitable high-quality match day facility 12 months of the year. And so applications, I assumed, open today. The first phase, what is envisaged to be a multi-stage process. This phase closes on the 3rd of March. So in a month's time, we're probably going to find out which teams have submitted. Samuel, anything striking out, any standing out to you from those points there?
Yeah, look, I think one of the big things is just that this is a huge step up for clubs. Now, some of these clubs have said, yeah, look, if we have the opportunity, we'll find the money. We've got the backing. They just don't want to back us for the NPL. But if we're on a national competition, absolutely, we get sponsors to help us get there. I'm thinking South Melbourne's one of the clubs that kind of said that in the past. Once they're in a national competition, they'll have sponsors. But this is a massive step up from being an NPL club, like paying fully professional. This is not a semi-professional league. There's no tradies, half the week and footballers half the other week. This is 52 weeks of the year you're being paid, and that's minimum wage and some. So that's a lot of money, as well as paying a proper operational staff for 12 months a year. Financially, that's going to be the biggest decider, I think, for who can make it in, is the clubs that really can show they've got the coin to fly around the country, but also pay, a full squad of players, not just in their first team, but actually having the development processes there as well, getting ready to bring players through. I think it's exciting. That's awesome. That's what we want. We want a fully professional second division. But it's a big jump, and they're talking about promotion into the A-League, and we'll touch on that probably further. But I'm more worried about the bottom end financially, like how soon are they going to bring in promotion and relegation between the NPL and this second division, because that step up is going to be big. Hopefully, we get teams moving up towards that, and you start to see that pyramid actually work. But if the A-League clubs are leaking money, like some say they are, will an NPL club be able to make that jump?
Yeah, for sure. I think we might as well talk about potential promotion eventually into the A-League. I think all the A-League clubs have some kind of contract that they've guaranteed their place in the competition and at least till like the early 2030s. So there might be promotion from NPL into A-League, but I don't think there'll be any relegation for some time. Because, these owners have got the guarantee that their club will be in the top flight to the early 2030s. I don't think they're going to renege on that. I don't think any club will want to put their hand up and say, yeah, no, we're fine to be potentially relegated in the next 7-8 years. But that's good. I think, you've got to take baby steps. And it'll be interesting, though, making that step up from a second tier competition to the A-League. Like you said about the financial issues, it's a big jump. But I think it's going to be a big jump.
Yeah. Now, one of the big things they talked about with clubs that they're looking to use in this establishment is obviously clubs that can show financially that they can cope. But one of the big things I think that stood out to me in the document was that they're looking for clubs that have a contribution to Australian football history. Like that, what's the actual wording there, Bradley?
History and culture. Yeah. The extent to which the respondent demonstrates an understanding and appreciation of the history and culture of football in Australia, including clubs and players, national team representation, and any participation or connection with that history and culture.
So look, it's pretty loose. Like, there's potential for some clubs that don't have the hugest, but I think that statement is particularly aimed at clubs like your South Melbourne, like your Wollongong Wolves, like your Sydney Uniteds, even Brisbane Strikers, clubs that have that history back from the NSL days that were big clubs, bringing players through. Adelaide City is another one that comes to mind. I think this kind of statement points us in that direction. If those clubs have the means, then I think we'll definitely see them, which is exciting. I think that's really cool and something that a lot of these clubs have been crying out for a long time.
Yeah, I think though, looking at the other points, because there's other one, there's like visions, governance, financial capacity, capability, and experience, and other stuff. I think, it's well and good to have that history. South Melbourne might be the Oceania team of the century or whatever, but like if they don't have the finances in place, if they fail other criteria, they might not necessarily be a part of this competition. I think Football Australia set out a really good guideline of saying, yeah, I know everyone will want to be a part of this competition, but if you do not fit our criteria, and I think it's a pretty strict but reasonable criteria, then you can't be a part of it. Because this competition will involve a lot of investment, and they don't want to see clubs falling apart after 1 year because it was too expensive. They want to make sure the right teams are in it with the money. Yeah. So it's not going to be a merit-based competition. I think it would have been too hard to set up a merit-based competition at the start, but it's going to be money-driven, and I think it's important to solidify the stability of this competition early.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we go any further, if you haven't already, now's a great time for you to subscribe to the A-League Couch Critics. We have slowly been moving our way towards 1,000. We cracked the 500 mark, and we need your help. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do click that subscribe button, and make sure to leave a like on the video. Let us know if you enjoy this content. Also, we've touched previously on teams we thought would be good for a national second division. If you think it's time for us to redo that, have a look at the criteria again, and suggest who we think should be in this new national second division, which we know is happening now, make sure to comment down below and let us know. All right, let's keep going. I think something else interesting was they opened it up. It could be a competition of 10 to 16 teams with a full home and away season. That's definitely a win for what the clubs wanted, don't you think, Bradley?
Yeah, for sure. I think the clubs were very clear they wanted the proper season, not the Champions League format that was floated. Although it was noted in the document, should the level of interest not validate the required number of clubs with the capability to formulate an independent tier of competition, the option remains for the FA to institute a phased group-based competition model that will utilise the NPL competition. So it'll be similar to that group stage competition. So they do have that backup option. They still want this second tier, but I think it's really good that we're going to be getting the tier or the structure the clubs want. And now it's up to the clubs. It's time for them to put their money where their mouth is. They wanted this competition. Now it's time to say, yeah, we have the money. We have the investment. We want to make it work. I'm still quite, I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical about whether it'll work. Like, I want it to work. I think it'll be amazing if it can work, but it's such a big jump. It's such a big gamble moving forward. But, if the clubs think they can do it and they have the money, all power be to them. We'll never know if it's going to work until we try, and I really hope it works.
Yeah, I think it was a great warning, just kind of from the FA to put that in the release. And I think that means hopefully that the point of putting that in was that clubs go in full on into this, and we get how cool would it be if 30 clubs put their names in and they can all meet the financial, and so we get a 16 team second division, and we're playing a 30 games home and away season, then with finals at the end. Like, that would be absolutely mint. I think it would put pressure as well on the A-League to make sure they get up to 16 teams, 14, 16 teams, which I think is another interesting kind of discussion point in this. It's around the A-League bringing in new teams. At the moment, there's only the 12 teams. So is there time for some more expansion teams? And how are teams going to feel? Like, if you're a South Melbourne and you put in your expression of interest for this national second division, and then 2 more teams get added to the A-League, do you feel a bit duped that they then get an extra 8 years in the top division, and you're, even though you want to be there, you're kind of relegated to the second division? I think it creates an interesting dynamic. Yeah,
I think so. I think maybe this potential move by the FA to announce the second tier might ramp up the APL's expansion hopes. I think Canberra, you'd like to think Canberra's all but in the next couple of years that they will announce an expansion team in Canberra. Where they would go for team number 14, I'm not entirely sure, because a lot of the options, like potentially Gold Coast or Wollongong, maybe another Brisbane team, another Melbourne team.
Tasmania.
Tasmania. I think Tasmania would probably be a good one that would be suited to an expansion team in the A-League. But a lot of those teams like Wollongong, Gold Coast, South Melbourne, Marconi, I think they would be better suited coming into a national second tier competition. But I can understand clubs being pissed. If, say Canberra got in, they jumped ahead of the queue. Although I don't know whether you could say jumping ahead of the queue. My biggest worry though is I don't want to see a war, and I am concerned the potential there is that this new national second tier competition could try and rival the A-League we know A-League is the number one competition in this league, and I still think it would be with a national tier competition, a second tier, but I'm just worried it would. Because we just really can't afford more infighting, more stepping backwards, because we've done a lot of that in the past couple of months. And I'm just concerned that a national second division could potentially try and rival the A-League. I think you could ask plenty of rugby league fans in the 90s when they went through a Super League war, when there was 2 top-tier competitions in Australia. It really set the game back 20 years. I don't think you could set football back any further than it has been in the past couple of months, but two rival leagues fighting for supremacy in Australia. I mean, India is a prime example in recent years with the I-League and the Indian Super League. So, yeah, we got to really make sure, clarify the A-League is top. The second tier will be the second tier, and then NPL, and so on and so on.
And I think that's the job of the FA. I think they really have to set strict limits, and they have to communicate with the A-League. And I know these A-League teams have in their contract no relegation until 2030, but the FA really has to stand in and say, and that's it. Like the next season, we're connecting these bad boys. Like we're going to start moving the NPL and this second division together and connect the pyramid here. And you guys are next, and you might run your competition, but the FA has to be the boss here and say, this is all merging together to make one pyramid, so that this doesn't become a split league, so it doesn't become a rival league, so that these clubs who are solidifying this national second division know that in 7 years' time, it's showtime, and they're fighting for the top spot then. And yeah, like you said, that we can't afford this to split into two rival competitions. But if we can get this to merge and it's all on the FA, then it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting 12 months, and it'll give us plenty of content for us to talk about, and everyone else on soccer Twitter. So that's really exciting. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll get a good idea of what teams will be putting their hand up for this. And I think it's a really exciting time after what was obviously a very bit of a disappointing time with the grand final decisions a couple of months ago. But, you know, I think it's good. I think if this works, it'll be an absolute game changer, because with all these full-time contracts, it'll give more footballers an opportunity in this country to grow and develop. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there, don't you think, Bradley?
Yeah, I think we probably will.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yep, cool. Thanks.